Welcome back. In last session, we were discussing about cutover activities. Before we go live, what are the cutover activities that we're supposed to perform? Immediately after all your baseline configuration is completed, you need to perform certain cutover activities. Only then you will be able to provide your system for your client for a production purposes. For that, we need to understand what are the cutover activities, which I have already explained in another session. You can go back and refer to that particular video, which will give you a complete list of cutover activities. What are the activities that any consultant has to perform? As a part of FICO, FI consultants has to perform certain cutover activities, out of which trial balance upload is one of it. When I say trial balance upload, what exactly the trial balance? This trial balance from the legacy system, whatever your clients are currently using it. From there, we need to migrate all the closing balances to current system. Let's say your client currently using different ERP like Oracle. So from Oracle, that Oracle will become a legacy system now to your client. From legacy system, that Oracle, we need to upload all the balances or transfer that balances to SAP system. Let's consider that we are migrating to S4HANA. From this point onwards, we'll discuss about S4HANA system, right? So whenever we wanted to transfer all the balances to S4HANA system from your Oracle system, it's not direct copy paste which you can do it. There is certain things which you need to take care. As a part of cutover activities, we are going to upload the legacy system trial balance, which is all the GL account balances and open items as well, into S4HANA system. Let us look into that, how we are going to do that. Before going to upload into S4HANA, there are certain things which you need to take care. So that we call them as, there are certain pre-requirements which you need to look into as well. Even before looking into pre-requirements, let's look into this session what we are going to cover. We are going to cover in this session the data migration overview, what exactly it is and when we will perform and what it is, and what are the pre-requirements whenever you wanted to perform any data migration from your system, from your legacy system to S4HANA, and what is the legacy data preparation that you have to do it. And once you have that data preparation, which means your templates you filled and everything is ready, then you will be uploading that using migration cockpit, particularly in S4HANA. This is not supported in ECC. Remember this point. ECC will not support migration cockpit. This functionality has been introduced from 2020 onwards, 2020 S4HANA versions onwards. Prior to 2020, there was a LTMC tool which was available, which is a similar to your migration cockpit, so which supports until 1909 version from in S4HANA systems. Afterwards, the 2020 onwards, SAP has introduced migration cockpit. And once we upload this into system, then we'll also check the final results. Let's get started and see what we have it. So whenever you talk about migration of data, so migrating data is kind of a transferring data from your legacy system. It can be anything that you are using it currently to SAP S4HANA system. So let's focus more about GL account balances and open item transfer from legacy system to S4HANA as a part of end-to-end implementation whenever we are in. To make our work easy, what we will do, we will not transfer all the data at a time, but we will be doing bits and pieces. When I say bits and pieces, so this is like transfer or migrate your all GL balances at a time, and consider all your vendor master balances at separately, and customer details separately, and asset details separately. Likewise, if you do it, there will not be any challenges whenever you are doing data migration. To make this entire work easy, we are going to divide this into multiple projects and will upload one particular set of data at a time. In this particular scenario, we are going to look into only GL account balances particularly. Yeah. So let's look into that. By end of this session, you will be able to perform trial balance upload from your legacy system to S4HANA using migration cockpit. That's the main objective of this quick session that I'm sharing it. If you look here, this is the basic information provided by SAP. Whenever you log into your S4HANA system and go and check for your legacy data transfer documentation that will provide you the use of the legacy data transfer settings, what are the things that we need to perform and how to perform it, that I have summarized here. Now let's look into the legacy data. Let's assume that this is the legacy data that we have provided, which is provided by our clients. Let's say that you look into the account number and the account description, the cash account number, capital account number, domestic sales, rent account, advertisement expense and wages. These are the accounts as a sample that we have taken to migrate into a legacy, from legacy system to S4HANA system. And I have also listed amount in local currency, which is amount in LC, and the local currency symbol, and also amount in global currency and global currency symbol. Along with that, if you look into that, the currency exchange rate 96, which I have added just for understanding purposes. And you can look into the document type UE, which I have mentioned, which we are going to use it for all the legacy data migration. So then once you have your legacy data ready, which is available provided by your clients, which you are going to translate that into one of the templates provided by Migration Cockpit, and you will translate that into Migration Cockpit template, then you will upload that using your Migration Cockpit, or you will also call as migrate your data. So MYD. So that we'll look into when we get into the system in detail, step by step. Okay, let's get started. What we will be doing it, how we will be doing it in migrate your data. Now let's look into a checklist or the pre-requirements before we migrate any data. So in this example, what we are taking, we wanted to migrate GL account balances. Before we migrate GL account balances, there are certain activities which we have to make sure they have been performed in the system. When I say certain activities, there are certain configurations which should have been already completed. Only then you will be able to perform this trial balance upload or GL account balances migration from legacy system to S4HANA system. What are those activities that we need to make sure? So I have listed the most important steps which we should not miss even a single step, without which we can't perform legacy data migration. So first one out of which you can, if you look into that, I have made activity name, transaction code that we use it, and as and when we check these activities, we'll update the status also here, so that it will become a proper checklist for you to refer and see whether all the steps that we supposed to perform has been completed and we are good to migrate the data. So with that intent, any configuration that you are looking into, or whenever you wanted to do the migration, we need to make sure the enterprise structure baseline configuration has been properly set up and your consistency check is passed. Only then you will be able to perform the remaining cutover activities. For that, you need to make sure your baseline configuration you have followed from the beginning. uh, when I say from the beginning, company code creation to until your controlling area, everything you have created and you have performed consistency check. What is the consistency check? You will check, this is the transaction code which you can use FINS underscore CUST underscore CONS underscore CHK underscore P. Just use this transaction code from SC93 and make sure your company code basic, the baseline configuration is available. So for you to get detailed baseline configuration steps, I have already made a separate video on this. You can go back and check the baseline configuration steps, how to perform a consistency check also by completing all your baseline configuration. Then once your baseline configuration is done, as a part of your cutover activities, you need to perform few more things. Let's understand them. So you need to have a certain GL accounts that need to be created, to which accounts you need to transfer this data. You should have mapped those GL accounts from your legacy system to S4HANA system as well. You need to make sure this GL accounts has been created in FS00. And similarly, as soon as you have accounts, you also need to make sure the respective period for which period the data that you are migrating or transferring, the respective period is supposed to be in open status. If that period is in closed status, system anyway will not allow you to migrate the data. Okay, so that we will do through OB52. And cost centers,
Whenever you have any related costing related cost that you wanted to track at a cost center level, you need to make sure the cost centers are also created. And profit centers, whenever you are transferring any balance sheet related accounts, profit center is one of the mandatory thing as a part of document splitting as well in S4 HANA. So you need to make sure those respective profit centers has been created. So if your business is not really following the profit center wise reporting, then you don't need to worry about this much, where you can deactivate your profit center accounting and the document splitting and go ahead. But majority of the cases, everyone will follow profit center accounting for a proper reporting purposes. Okay, so that you are going to create using KE51. And now, once you have all this, you need to make sure you have a certain document types which is already predefined, or you need to create a customized or the standard document types again with using the more document types for you to segregate. Let's say usually we call all the general ledger accounting document types as SA, and all customer related you might call with a D series, and all your vendor related with a K series, and asset related with A series, right? So similarly, this is a standard document types. You have it. Whenever you are migrating data, you need to make sure while you are migrating data, document types starts with UE, and wherever you have this UE document type in a system, you are going to use this as a standard. But whenever your customer or a client says that we don't want to club everything under UE, but I wanted to have GL account separately, customer account separately, vendor account balances separately, and account asset account related separately, then you are going to create a respective document type as well. So let's say for all GL account related, you starting document type starting with U, we are going to use for data migration. So what I'll do, I'll create U and S, which is for a GL, and U and D for my customer related, U and K for vendor related, U and A for asset related. Something like this you can create. This will become another enhancement request where you need to work with our mapper, prepare your functional specification, and make sure you thoroughly test it and follow that rise of objects for you to complete this new document setup. Whenever you have a new document type setup, don't forget to include these new document types in your document splitting also, which is one of the most important functionality in S4HANA. Okay, so now in this scenario, we are not going to create all this. I just give you an idea. In case required, you need to make sure how you need to create. If this is really required, I'll create a separate video on how to create new document types with trace of objects. Okay, then you need to have a number ranges. Whenever you are posting something, you need to make sure that will generate a document number. You need to track all those. For that, you need to have a document number ranges also created in the system that you will do using FBN. And also you need to make sure, as there might be certain different currency than the local currency, some transactions, whatever has been performed in the business, your business will let you know wherever there is a foreign currency involved. For that, you need to maintain foreign exchange rates also. That will do it in OP08. And once you're done with that, then the last step, you need to make sure your legacy data takeover dates has been set using this particular transaction code. Or there is a path also available, but you can use this transaction code, which will make it very easy for you to go directly to this particular activity. Let us check one by one in our system. I have already created certain baseline configuration. From here, I'll show you how to perform consistency check, where you will make sure everything is ready for us to proceed further. I'll keep this side by side so that you can see both the screens at a time, so that I'll update the status here. Let me reduce the font size so that we will be able to use both the screens at a time. Okay, let me copy this transaction code. For me to perform consistency check, go to SC93 from SAP and put that transaction code here and say execute. Whenever you say test execute and use values below and enter your company code from where you wanted to perform this. In this scenario, I have created 4D's company code, so which I'm going to perform this consistency check. It will tell you all your baseline configuration is okay whenever it says check passed without any errors. If there are any errors, you will find those errors here. So here also it will display the detailed one. You need to look into those errors and go back and correct those configuration. Then you come back. You perform this consistency check whenever you feel that all your baseline configuration is completed. Okay. So then you will proceed. In this case, this has been completed. Let me mark this as a done. And let us perform the next step. The next step which I'm going to perform is GL account creation. We need to make sure the accounts whatever we need has been created. So let me check whatever the accounts we need, whether we have created or not. Before that, we need to understand what are the accounts that we need. So let me show you what are the things that we have it here. So these are the accounts which we are talking about. So we have cash account, capital account, and certain sales, domestic sales, and rent account, and advertisement expense, wages account, and legacy uh, takeover accounts as well. So certain accounts I created under balance sheet, I marked here as a X, and certain accounts I created for profit and loss account also. That way we make sure we have combination of both the accounts created, which you can create. I have already created manually. Either you can create using LSMW technique or migrate to a data template, or you can create manually. Use any one of the technique based on your comfortability. So we need to make sure all these accounts are exist in our FS00 screen. So let me go back to SAP and show you whether we have these accounts under this respective account groups created or not. Okay, so let me show you that. So let me go to /n FS00. When I go here, let me select the company code here first. Let me change my company code is DDDD, and you see this account groups under cash. You might have this cash account 121 all zeros. This is the account that I have it. As usual, you follow the account settings that is required. Under controlling, I made a currency, and sorting is 001, and create bank interest tab, I just made field status group as G001. So similarly, you follow for other accounts also. Capital account, I created 2 series, which is the liabilities, and similarly whatever the required settings I already made, you make sure you correctly select account group and GL account types. So and so on. Let me show you all other accounts. 311 all zeros, and direct expenses 411 all zeros, and direct expense one more we have it, which is a for a advertisement related. So I created here, and wage related account under wages, and TP takeover we are using 81 series accounts. These are the accounts that all I have already created. Now accounts are set. So now let me mark this as done. So now open and close posting period. We need to make sure the respective period. So whenever we are talking about open posting period, we need to understand for which period we are performing trial balance upload. So let's say in this case we are performing for October month, October 24. When you say October 24, let me put this way. So October month is what I'm performing, as we are in November month. Whenever we are performing for October month, so we need to consider last day of that month as a last date for us to upload the data, which means 31st October 2024 is your date to consider as a last date. This will become in this case. So what is the period that we need if I want to record any transactions as on 31st October? We supposed to record this in the month of October because the balances relates to October. So consider this as your cutover date as well. So your cutover date will become 31st October. And we are, though we are posting on today 16th of November, still you are posting for the month of October. For that matter, you need to make sure the October books are open. So how do we do that? Go to OP52/N OP52, and what is your posting period variant you have created again? So let me use DDD, and let me see, DDD is not right one. Let me check if I created with ACC0, not even ACC0, it's ACCN, I believe. Let me check. ACCN is what I'm using for this, and I have already opened period number 10. 10 to 11 is what I opened. Either you can keep it only 10 strictly to make sure so no other entries will get post in 11th period, either by mistake also. Okay, so we are opening only period number 10 and save it, and make sure the period is open. We are good. Now you need to make sure cost centers are created, which I have already created. In your case, if you don't have it, you can create one or two cost centers for a testing purpose, or whenever you are uploading a legacy data from your client data, you make sure what are the cost centers they have it. Those cost centers should be exist in the system. Let me check whether we have certain cost centers that I created or not. So if you want to create a new cost center, we'll use KS01. So let me go with KS03 and check the existing cost centers. Here the controlling area set as 3355, but I wanted to change this to our controlling area. So for that, what you will do, you go to extras and say set controlling area and set 4 days. So this is our controlling area that we created. So under this controlling area, there should be certain cost centers created already, and let us check whether we have any cost centers created or not. Okay, now let me go here. So you see there are already three cost centers has been created. So I actually used LSM migrate your data technique here to use it to create these cost centers. Either you can also try migrate your data or LSMW, anything is fine. Okay. For now, I am not going to create as we already have it. So in case you need that specific help, look for the different video how to create these cost centers. Similarly, profit centers also will check. So let me go KE53 and profit center, make sure controlling area is correctly selected and go and search for it. We already have a 2 profit centers. It's more than enough for us in this case for a testing. Okay, and document types, you need to make sure we have UE document type is existing. How do you check? OBS7, go to OBS7 and check UE is existing in the system. So it says data transfer. This is what we are using for our data transfer, particularly for FI related. Okay, so don't worry about UF for now. So consider only UE. That is what we are using it. So we have this document types and number ranges. Whenever we have this document type, we need to make sure we have respective number ranges also. Either you can go directly from here, which is a number range 04, and go here number range information, and make sure you enter your company code and say change intervals and make sure the 4 is created. In this case, I have already created a 4. In case you are doing for the first time, go with a new insert new line and say enter for 2024 and enter the series what you wanted to enter. Okay, this is how you are going to enter. Okay, so I'm not going to create because it is already there and system also will not accept it. Okay, the next thing what we need to make sure, we need to make sure the exchange rate what we are using in the transaction is also exist in the system. For that, go to OB08 to load your FX rate. So go to position, enter exchange rate type EM, which is average rate. And in this case, what we are using, if you look into this, so we are using USD as global currency. So we need to make sure USD has been updated here. So USD to INR and valid from the cutover date. For this particular date, it should have been already updated. So let's see that USD 96 it is available. It's already updated. Otherwise, you need to make sure as on 31st October you have this exchange rate updated. So also let me filter. There should be 2 things available. Let me go with a valid from and filter this equals to and 31st October 2014 and choose. It will filter both direct code and indirect code. You need to make sure indirect and direct code both has been updated for 31st October. Okay, so in this case we have it. So let me update this, done. And the last step we have it is legacy data takeover date to be updated in the system. Why we need to do that? We are informing system that we are going to perform legacy data migration. With respect to that, we need to have this date updated in respect to our company code. Let me enter company code. And here you need to make sure date has been updated. What is the date that we are considering for a cutover date? 31st October. So this is the date that I'm updating. Here migration key date is your cutover date. So enter 31st October 2024 and set this legacy data transfer status as ongoing. It's because you are going to process this now. So hit enter and save. Whenever you save, you will get that confirmation as usual. Whenever it's saved, then you say that done. Okay, when you are done with that, let's directly now look into Fury application where you will do this all data migration. So we are going to download the template and fill all these details and update in the template directly. So let's go back to Fury. To access Fury, how do you access Fury? So either you can use through GUI using a transaction code /n/UI2/FLP, which will prompt you to open your Fury application. Just say allow, which will directly takes you to the Fury application. I have already opened Fury application here as it is loading in other screen. Let us get started here. For us to migrate the data, you need to use a tile called migrate your data. So whenever you log in for the first time, it may or may not be appearing on your home screen. If it is appearing, you are directly going to use migrate your data. Otherwise, consider that it is not there. How do you bring it? Use search option here and search for migrate your data. Whenever you say type migrate your data, system will give the results migrate your data, which is a migration cockpit. Select this, and here is where you are going to create the project. Let's use this create option, create, and use migrate data using staging tables. When you do that, it gives you 3 steps process to create the project. First thing, you need to create a project name to for you to identify. So I usually follow the company code underscore activity that I'm performing, so which will be easy for me to identify. So I will say company code TB upload and use display next available. System will automatically consider the next available transfer ID. You no need to enter this manually. You no need to go back and check the respective tables. Straight away you use this button, which will pick our next available transfer ID. Then database connection, always go with a local SAP S4HANA database key, unless you have any customized package available, which is given by your technical team. Otherwise, you go with a local scheme and click on step 2, which will move to the next step under development package. Again, you need to confirm the local package and say step 3. And whenever you go to step 3, here is where you need to search for the object that you wanted to do. In this case, always search for a GL. We are going to migrate a GL account balances. So search with a G/L always. Don't search with a GL directly. So make sure you search with G/L and search here, which will give you 3 different objects. Under 3 different objects, GL accounts, the first one is to create GL master, which is a GL accounts. And second one for extend existing record by a new organization level. If you want to extend the same GL account to new company code, you will use this. And in this case, we need the third one, which is FIGL account balance and open line items. Okay. So select this and you see predecessors 4, which means there are 4 pre-requirements before you migrate data or use this particular object. What are those? Click on this and understand. It says cost center, profit center, FIGL account, and WBS element. If you look into this, we already checked all the pre-requirements, whatever we need. We already confirmed we have a cost centers, profit center, and GL accounts. WBS is not mandatory. This comes into picture wherever you have your fixed asset related. So for now, we have not included any fixed asset related. So you can ignore this and you can go ahead with these 3. So now select this and say this to add to selected migration objects. Currently, it says available migration objects. From available list, I am moving to selected migration. So this is the action that I am going to do. So whenever you select, it moves to right side, which is a selected migration objects. Now you need to click on review. Just say review, which will review the project and you will be able to create the project. So now